I just want the world to know about my
Greetings to all Afro-Rakana, Afro-Rakaitni, meaning African, black people. Your brother Shango Wande here for our, meaning original people, united and restored, with another installment of our series to aid you on your journey back to the greatness of who you are by eliminating what you ain't. And brothers and sisters, you ain't no American. Not African American, Black American, Afro-Negro American, or any other nonsense they invent to make you think you have ties to this country. Being born here doesn't make you an American any more than sitting at the table with no food would make you a diner. Not when hundreds of years of preparation for your assassination are awaiting you at birth. Not when the wealth amassed from the labor of your bloodline is devoted to your death instead of your benefit, could those words have any meaning to any but those collaborating house nigger few. You weren't brought here as no American, and you weren't brought here to become no American. So you tell me, at what point did you become one? Not your so-called emancipation that launched waves of lynching, murder, and unbridled terrorism against thousands of black men, women, and children at a time, and still only considers you 3/5 of a human being. And you can't be talking about your so-called civil rights movement, where you got beat stupid enough to claim victory when they let you sit next to white folks and spend all your money with their businesses as yours closed. If there was any such thing as an African American, you wouldn't need any 14th or Civil Rights Amendment supposing to grant you human status here, or be begging to keep a Voting Rights Act so you can pretend like you count. You would have the same rights as everybody else. You wouldn't have to settle for affirmative action to get a few of your children into institutions of higher learning, while the rest are railroaded into institutions of mass incarceration. Face it, you will never be an American, and you shouldn't want to be, because America's done nothing but try to kill you and everything that looks like you. From the moment those diseased, deranged, pus-filled cannibals landed here, up to this very second, they have waged a steady, deliberate, genocidal war of oppression and exploitation against the indigenous and kidnapped populations here in the so-called Americas. We have been raped, massacred, mutilated, butchered, brutalized, and subjugated. We've been lynched, tortured, traumatized, hypnotized, ostracized, and stigmatized as the racism ingrained into the fabric of American society perfected over centuries its institutions for our annihilation. But now, because they only call us niggas behind closed doors, we are supposed to believe they consider us free and equal and let bygones be bygones. They tell you that was all in the past. Get over it. You're free now, so stop whining and go make something of yourself like that nice Colin Powell fellow, or just be like Mike. Stop drinking the malt liquor our ads push on you from the day you are born, and stop shooting each other with the cheap guns we make just for you over the drugs we flood your communities with. Work hard for us in our slave wage retail chains like Walmart's and McDonald's that don't pay enough to take you off the public assistance that's already been eliminated for everybody but big business, and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So what if they happen to be around your neck? And maybe, just maybe, you'll be one of the lucky ones that doesn't have to work 2 jobs to be broke like your parents did. I don't know about you, but I don't see any improvement in our relationship with America. Malcolm told us over 30 years ago, and it's just as true today. You are not an American. You are a victim of America. If the wholesale massacres, brutal slavery, and deliberate extermination of our ancestors were a Holocaust, and you better believe they were, then the devastation caused by the inhuman conditions the majority of us live under today must be considered a continuation of that Holocaust. A Holocaust that has never ended. It continues on, maturing, improving its methods and efficiency, masking its attacks, its societal structures, and legislative weapons of mass destruction, so that now profit is made as they bleed income from every aspect of our life suffering and expedited deaths. Slavery is now achieved through a business-serving economy that forces people to accept employment that won't sustain basic human necessities. Mass incarceration, fueled by the intentional miseducation of our children, the orchestrated unemployment of our fathers after criminalizing their inability to support their families, and the resulting chaos generated in the unnatural ghetto environments produced by their carefully cultivated destruction of the family unit in our communities. That's right, their carefully cultivated destruction of the family unit in our communities. Or did you think the exact same suffering duplicated in all of our communities across the country was some kind of coincidence? Or maybe you believed them when they told you that the people that built the pyramids and built America did this to themselves because they could do no better. The conditions we live under are unnatural, but they are not unintentional. Those statistics on crime, broken homes, and single female head of household are no accident. The permanent destruction of the black family was designed into the blueprint for America, and all of our laws, policies, programs, and budgets are written to enforce and maintain it, because the continuation of our exploitation as a resource depends on it. No matter how hard they try to convince us that our condition is our fault, that we should stop blaming the man for our suffering, that we are the cause of the crime, drug addiction, poverty, and despair plaguing our communities, we must never forget that the full weight of this society's resources built on our exploitation have always been devoted to keeping our families dysfunctional and our communities weak. That's right, they've got us paying for the war being waged against us. People don't choose to be poor. They are kept poor. Criminals aren't born. They are manufactured. Manufactured through policies written by a corporate government collage of millionaire mercenaries with interests at odds with humanity. We allow ourselves to get caught up in the fraud of citizenship, thinking we have the same options as white people just because they tell us we do. We buy into the publicity that we are the ones committing all the crimes, when the real crimes are still being committed against us by the children of the same white people who kidnapped and enslaved us through the government and business instruments they built with the blood-soaked wealth they inherited. And you go for it because they've convinced you that their war against you is over. And we are all on the same American team. Wake up, fool. Since it's clear that we are victims and not citizens of America, it should be equally clear that it is time to drop this delusional illusion of inclusion that keeps us dreaming that because we built this country, we are a part of it. dreaming that because we have struggled and suffered so much for it, we must love and protect it like a child we hope will one day grow up and take care of us. We must stop dreaming that if we somehow prove ourselves good as white folks to white folks, they're going to accept us with open arms and we all live happily ever after. For us to expect this country to one day turn over a new leaf, start treating us fairly, is like expecting the gunman who shot you to work on your wounds. We are not them and they are not us. Our suffering sustains their luxury, and they will never willingly share with anyone. You must realize that the privileges you seek to enjoy with them are paid for in our blood. And if you want to survive, you better get it through your head right now that you are an enemy to America. Always have been and always will be. America's at war with you as you try to save America and integrate yourself into it. You have to remember, America was born in genocide, built on slavery, and sustained by the great murder and theft of all the world's people and resources. We have the capacity to do for ourselves and uplift our own communities, not with government assistance, but without government interference. Imagine what we can accomplish for ourselves if we devoted our resources to our own benefit. The only choice we have is to unify as one African people, engaged in the business of race-first group economics and independent political organization, supported by independent military organization, guided by our own African traditional values and spiritual systems, with all of it owned by all of us. Because the bottom line is this: if you are not building black power systems, you're building white power systems. Wake up, black man and woman of Afro-Rakaya. Your only chance for survival is the rejection of white foods, white culture, white religions, and most importantly, white people. And the return to the culture and religions of your ancestors who built great civilizations before and after the white cancer infected Mother Earth. The remains of these great civilizations that the whites to this day have been unable to duplicate serve to remind us that when we rejected the whites, their culture and religions, we held on to our land and freedom. And when we allowed the whites in, accepting their perverse culture and fake religions, we lost our land and freedom. No, you ain't no American. You're Afro-Rakanu, Afro-Rakainik, meaning African, black people. Now take the oath, set up an ancestral shrine, and go set your land and people free.